Mike Shoesmith, listen, I want to give the folks a quick ZULLO update. Is that okay with you, Mike?
You bet. I'd love to hear that myself.
Yeah, well, the bottom line is I talked to Mike ZULLO just the other day. And, folks, I just want to tell you, just a couple days ago, he tells me, and I'm allowed to say this, that the conference is forthcoming. And I'm telling you, I mean, Arpaio and ZULLO are both saying this. So I'm reporting information, okay, folks? I'm not conducting the investigation. I'm not gathering all the criminal evidence and investigative information. I'm not flying all over the country interviewing people and searching archives. And but I'm helping them to get out information and to keep America kind of updated on what's going on. And I told you several weeks ago that ZULLO represented, in fact, several months ago on this show, represented that he was kind of he was not going to release any more information until the conference came forth, because every time he did, it was picked apart and dissected, and plus there was some concern about information leakage that should not have happened, and et cetera, et cetera. So the bottom line is he is not going to give any details of where he's at until it's time for the conference. And the very last word I had just a few days ago was that the conference is still forthcoming. So that's all I know, and that's all I can say at this point, but that's it. So anyway, Mike, I know you've been listening to the show, so there's a dead tree in India, but it's not dead, it just looks dead, but it's going to magically have leaves within 10 days. And then we've got Franklin Graham, who says, this guy's doing this on purpose. I mean,
well, I don't know. According to the internet, Carl, you're in charge of the ZULLO investigation, and you're just doing it for the money. You know.
That's I'm making millions off this. Yeah.
I got to correct you on something, by the way. Brian Williams was the first black president back in the 1800s, and while he was in office, he took heavy fire from certain groups and constantly. So Brian Williams, I just finished an exclusive interview with Brian Williams, by the way, and he's very concerned about Bill O'Reilly. Because Brian Williams, he was in his apartment in New York City taking heavy fire from ISIS while he was on the phone with me. And
right.
Yeah, and he's concerned about Bill O'Reilly because Bill O'Reilly has now been caught lying about his war coverage over the Falklands there. And Brian Williams is very concerned that O'Reilly made the same contract mistakes that Williams did.
Yeah.
Because Williams' contract, it says, if you make a fool of yourself, we can fire you.
Yeah,
so,
right. Well, listen.
He's very concerned about Bill O'Reilly, whether or not Bill O'Reilly had a better contract that he did, because Bill O'Reilly looks like he might be in some hot water here.
Yeah. Well, listen. Also, didn't Brian Williams give you a paper copy with the race seal during that interview for you to feel? I mean,
he did that to back up his sister Guthrie there, who may or may not be lying about that. I don't know. I guess
may or may not be. Yeah.
She may not get the job over this, by the way, because this is all wall to wall. Her claims of
feeling the raised seal. And again, I say to that, well, that's awesome. Hey, listen, Mike. You and I have said this from the beginning. All we want is the truth. If we discover that he is 1,000% legitimate to hold the office, then fine. I mean, I want him out of office because he's a terrible president. I want him out of office because he has an affinity to Islam, and Islam's destroying the world. I want him out of office because he's a socialist. I want him out of office because he brought socialized health care. I want him out of office, and I'll work through the political, legal system to get him out of office. But if we also discover that he's not even an American citizen, then I really want him out of office. But if we discover that he is, then fine, and we'll report that right here on Freedom Friday.
Yeah, well, as you know, it's already been disclosed that the ZULLO investigation has uncovered information which leads them to conclude that the document is fraudulent.
Oh, well, of course,
and that aspect of the investigation has been signed, sealed, and delivered.
Yeah.
There are other aspects which they have not been able to disclose due to legal matters. By the way, folks, this is a criminal investigation of the president, so-called, of the United States. I mean, there have been investigations of the mob which have taken decades. Before they finally made any arrests. So people just need to relax here and sit tight.
Right. This is not tabloid journalism. It's not where we just throw accusations around and develop conspiracy theories and then beat them to death. I mean, this is something we have asked for 7 years or however long he's been in office. And in fact, just a little bit before. All we've asked them to do is to do exactly what they did with John McCain. have a Senate hearing and investigate his background and vet him. Bring the paper document with the raised seal. Bring in witnesses, just like they did with John McCain, and I'm happy. But they won't do it, and no hospital will say he was born there. And Governor Abercrombie could not put his hands on a paper document, and on and on and on it goes.
Right, and the PNN network has material all over our internet properties which document that illegal Obama has been propped up by Congress anyway. So there are many complicit entities in this fraud against the American electorate. But have you been paying attention at all to the outrage at Obama's insistence on refusing to call the act of terrorism Islamic? Have you been paying attention to the shock and awe that people, on the right and the left, and more on the right actually, with Fox News and Congress members.
Yeah, Franklin Graham, the statement I read from him up front, they're beginning to get it, Mike, but you and I have been saying this stuff for 7 years. I mean, this is what you get when the guy claims in writing he was raised in Islam and the most beautiful sound in the world is the sound of the azan, the call to prayer.
Well, and essentially, I'm not sure why people are shocked at this.
Me either.
Barack Obama is doing exactly what he said he would do.
Thank you. Exactly.
If you read his writings and pay attention, he said, for example, in Audacity of Hope, he said, if the political wind shifted in an ugly direction, I'm going with the Muslims. You know. And by the way, folks, I wish somebody would send this information to Fox News because they're all talking about how awful it is that he refuses to call it Islamic terror. But I wonder how many people, and we've said this before on the show, I wonder how many people are aware that it is embedded in American law, thanks to George Bush et al. It is embedded in American law specific protections for Muslims and the Islamic culture. It is illegal, and I just double-checked this again. I've been reporting on this for years, but I just double-checked this again. It's still in the Patriot Act. It is against the law. The Patriot Act was enshrined in the U.S. law, by the way, folks. It was ratified by Congress and made law, the law of the land. It is illegal to discriminate against Muslims when it comes to acts of terror. It's illegal. And what does discriminate mean? If you go to the dictionary, discriminate means to make a distinction.
Well,
that's what discriminate means.
Yeah.
It is against. So Barack Obama has the full backing and support of U.S. law.
Well,
when he says these things, and he excludes Islam, he can simply point to the Patriot Act and say, "Look, it's against the law for me or anybody else to single out Islam as perpetrators of terror."
Right,
so I have to keep doing that.
Yeah, and let me comment on that. Thank you for raising that point, because here's the deal. People have asked me, well, what do you think we ought to do? Round up all the Muslims and put them in concentration camps? And my answer to that is absolutely not. Absolutely not. That would be an outrage. That would be an atrocity. That should be illegal. Should we mistreat Muslims as we see them walking down the streets? No, this is America. They have a First Amendment protection just like we do. Now, if they commit acts of terror against us, then they need to be dealt with. Absolutely. But no, this is America. And because we were founded not on Islam, not on atheism, not on Buddhism or Hinduism or even agnosticism or deism, we were founded on Judeo-Christian concepts, biblical concepts. Read the writings of most of our founding fathers. Because of that, we were given the First Amendment saying the government will protect all people's right to their religion or to have no religion at all. And so, no, I am not for the discrimination against Muslims in America, but that's completely separate and different from dealing with an enemy on a battlefield who's cutting off heads and burning people alive in cages and destroying entire nations and threatening in writing to come to America and put the flag of Islam over the White House and to destroy and kill Americans and Jews and Israel. That's an enemy that needs to be dealt with, and you can't deal with it until you call it what it is. It is Islamic extremism. It is Islamic terrorism, and we've got to deal with it. The very first war that America fought as a brand new nation was the Barbary Pirates.
Well, and Jefferson was smart enough to realize the threat, the war that America was engaged in with the Barbary pirates. They were Muslim terrorists. And,
exactly.
They were demanding a jizya tax from U.S. Trade ships, and Jefferson sent the entire Navy down there to deal with this Islamic threat. In fact, that's why there is a Quran in the White House, Jefferson's Quran, he got that in an attempt to learn the tenets of the religion, and he discovered that this tenet of jizya tax and subjugating non-Muslims is built into the Islamic religion, and Jefferson was smart enough to call it that, and he went after them and shut it down.
Right.
And I think that's step one here, Carl, actually. We discriminate all the time. Discrimination is just a word. It just means to make a distinction. We discriminate all the time.
Right.
I mean, I will not eat everything that somebody says I should eat.
Right.
And some things I'm going to eat, well, I don't care what people say about it. That's discrimination. Right. And I think that step one here, people need to read the Patriot Act and make an amendment.
You mean
the Patriot Act usurps the First Amendment rights of American citizens?
I agree.
To free speech.
You mean you profile your food?
I profile my food. Yes, I do.
You discriminate against food, and you profile your food. I think that you are a conspiracy theorist. You just have an idea that some foods are not good for you when you should know that that you shouldn't go that route.
Well, Jefferson discriminated against the Muslims, and Jefferson was a pretty good president if I read my history correctly. Yeah. We may not agree on him with all of his doctrinal beliefs, but as far as the presidential deal, that man had it.
Yeah.